Okay, so welcome to 12th week session, and this is the last session in this course on human resource development. And you remember we talked about lot of issues related to HRD, coaching, mentoring, counseling. Then we talked about career planning and development activities. We also talked about how to measure the value of intellectual capital, right, and manage them. And then we talked about learning organizations and how it contributes to growth and development of the organization at the macro level. Now, we are going to discuss some other issues which are equally relevant when it comes to human resource development as a profession, because development of employees in an organization, which is as diverse as possible in terms of its composition, is one major issue that is being faced by the managers today. Another issue that we are going to discuss in this session is related to what you call adopting an ethical behavior. So, how ethical behavior could be adopted by the employees and what role HRD people have in the process. And then we will also see that what kind of competencies and other things would be required by the HR people in the future, because the changes that is happening in the external environment, right. So, with this introduction, we are going to take up this last week's session on diversity, ethics and the future of human resource development. And we will start our first session about diversity, that how workforce diversity matters and what kind of role HR can play in the process to manage it and develop it in a different way, in a better way, right. And what could be the enablers that could be created by the organization to make the workplace really diverse. So, the first session is diverted on what you call HRD and diversity, and that is what we are going to discuss now. So, when we are going to discuss about HRD and diversity, we have to see what diversity means. So, basically here we are talking about diversity of the workforce. Okay. So, you need to adopt systems and practices or policies and practices, which is going to see that people who are coming from different kind of say diverse backgrounds, we will discuss what it is, to work together. And then how you can realize the strength of this diversity for the betterment of the organization. But before we go about realizing the strength of diversity in an organization, it is very important to understand that what are the different kind of diversity that is present in the workforce, that is to be addressed, right. And then how we are going to address this diversity needs. You know that government has also tried to enable certain conditions to make sure that these diversity issues taken care in the organizations. Now, it is the responsibility of the top management as well as the HR professionals to develop systems and practices, where people with diverse background can work together smoothly. So, there is no conflict of interest, there is no anxiety, people respect and treat each other with dignity, and then we would be able to realize the strength of diversity. So, this is very important to understand what diversity is, so that it could be taken in a positive way, and then you are able to realize the strength. So, with this description of diversity, basically we are trying to see what it is and how it is going to help you. Now, if you look at this picture, what does this suggest? This is the composition of a workforce for an organization. This will show you that people from different countries are different cultures with different backgrounds, old and young, men and women, people participating from different cultures are working together, right. So, when you are going to talk about diversity in the different forms of diversity, that is how diversity can be understood, right. So, when you try to understand diversity, it means you have to look at the composition of the workforce in terms of gender, race, culture, ethnicity and all kind of things. So, we will take up and try to see what are the various forms of diversity that could be looked into the race. Now, in this picture you can find out people from different races, the whites, blacks, Spanish, Asians, right. You will find people from all races, right. Then you could find a difference in the composition of the workforce related to the gender. So, you can find male and female population both in the workforce. Nationality, these people may be belonging to different nations, right. Then Language, they might be speaking different languages, but they also need to adapt to a common language to work together, right. Then age, if you look at the age, some of them are very young, some of them just entered the workforce, some of them are very senior experienced professionals working together, that is also creating a kind of diversity. Then ability or disability, some of them are good, okay, competent physically and mentally, some of them may not be, they might be having certain disabilities. We know that in India we also have this disability act, where we are going to treat people who are physically disabled with respect, okay, because disability also provide a kind of diversity. So, okay, you have able people, but at the same time there could be some people who are not able physically also. So, that disabled people. So, that is another form of diversity. Then religion, they may be following different kind of religious practices, some might be Christ, some might be say Hindus, some might be Muslims, right, Christians, Buddhists. So, all the people may be following different kind of practices, religious practices, but working together. So, when we look at diversity, there could be different form of diversity. It means people can be differentiated, or if you take a negative connotation, discriminated based on these things. Okay. For example, there could be discrimination between the blacks and whites, there could be discrimination between Muslims and say Hindus, or discrimination between some Americans and non-Americans, okay. Discrimination between those who speak English or do not speak English, discrimination between across age, because senior people might discriminate among the seniors. There are a lot of discrimination that happens even today between able and disabled persons, right. So, this only this creates a negative strength, but if you are able to realize this strength and then you make use of this, probably that would create a positive strength in the organization. And the kind of lifestyle people live, because the lifestyle of different kind of people belonging to different culture would be different, okay. The dress, appearance and all kind of things, and that and how they work and these kind of things. So, there could be a different form of diversity that need to be understood in a better way, right. Now, what is the reason for diversity at the workplace? Okay. Now, since I am concerned with India, so we have to see in Indian context only. So, you know that we have witnessed significant demographic changes in the last 20 years, right, after the this liberalization process started in 1991, so almost 25 years now. Okay. So, you will find a lot of changes. Okay. You will find that people who have basically in the business of agriculture or they engage in agriculture have now moved to the middle class. Okay. Similarly, you will also find that large number of women are being employed in traditionally male dominated areas. So, you will find that most of the places you will find women working. They have become pilots, they have become engineers, okay. They drive trains also. Might have heard that you have female loco pilots, okay, running goods trains. Okay. So, these are some of the areas where you will find that it was male dominated, but even women are working there. Now, what kind if you look at these kind of issues, does it have any implications for the human resource managers or HRD professionals? Definitely, because the kind of expectations, interest, attitude and values who of the people who are going to come from a different diverse background is going to be different, and you need to treat everyone considering these diversities. That is very important, right. And many companies in India are proactively encouraging diversity within the ranks, right. So, they try to employ more people from having different background. Okay. Remember we talked about different kind of diversity practices that is being adopted by the organizations, right. So, there are a lot of reasons for diversity at the workforce, and today you will find that most of the workforce, especially in big cities, are cosmopolitan. You will find people from different culture, races, nationalities, even nationalities, okay, gender, religion are working together. Okay. And this is being encouraged to create a place which is more heterogeneous, okay, because they think that it could be treated as a strength also. Now, if you look at the first point, that is gender diversity. Gender diversity means what? More women in the workforce than ever, because gradually now I think that the level of education has for the women has increased. Maybe 50 years the level of education was very low, especially among the women, because there were not many opportunities available. But now opportunities are available for learning. So, they are more educated, they are being trained to take up jobs, and that is why in some sectors you will find that they are up to the tune of 50% even. Okay. So, some of the, you know that women were doing mostly non-standard jobs, like working in the houses, okay, or working at part time. So, different kind of activities which in unorganized sector basically. And there are a lot of stereotypes which are attached earlier with the women, like glass ceiling, they could not reach to higher position, they are not competent enough to work at a higher level. So, these kind of discriminatory practices will be being adopted against the women, and now gradually these are disappearing, right. Similarly, you will find that there is a magazine in data which showed that the ratio of men to women in the major IT companies is from 2 to 1 to 24 to 1. This is the old data, and another data shows that in 2007 there was increase of around 25%. Okay. So, it means that still you will find that the expected level is not raised by the women, and I do not have the latest data of 2015-16, probably if you look at it, the situation might have improved further. Now, coming to another important, that is factor, that is age diversity. Now, if you look at age diversity, people working from people you know that working in the range from say 20 to 60. Okay. Now, you will find that there are more older workers are available in the population. There is the re-entry of middle aged women to work, because they get married, they rear their children, and after that, after some time they again come back to join organizations, started working, and these kind of practices are being adopted or encouraged by many IT companies also today, right. They allow them. Okay. Sometimes you will find that even retired people have come back and join organizations to supplement their pension, because that is not enough. Similarly, you find that internships are coming, which is bringing more younger employees into the organization. So, there are apart from that, we also look at workforce diversity in terms of its capabilities and disabilities both. So, whether you are treating it as strength or not, that is more important, right. Now, where these are some of the disabilities issues that need to be looked into, okay. Especially if you are not disabled. So, disabled means that if you are physically disabled, okay. Are you going to create enabling systems and structures at your workplace, so that you are not going to be discriminated because of this okay. Whether you are going to provide reasonable accommodation to people who are physically disabled, okay. Are you not going to discriminate at the workplace those who are physically disabled, okay. And say for example, not only physical disabilities, but even suppose in case of AIDS also, you might have seen say advertisements where people are, people having AIDS are being discriminated. Okay. So, these kind of discriminatory practices need to be avoided, right. If you really you are really concerned with diversity, to make sure that all such people who are disabled are taken care, and then you are going to enable systems and processes, and you are creating infrastructures in such a way, so that they are able to smoothly work, right. That is more important. Then culture is also a very important factor, especially when we are talking about disabilities. Okay. So, you know that culture is defined as beliefs, values, norms and artifacts. So, how culture is going to influence, because you know that you have a culture in the organization, and you may need to ensure that you fit into the culture. If you do not fit into the culture, then you might be discriminated. Okay. And if you fit into the culture, you are treated as loyal and committed, and if not, then you are treated as an outsider. That is one aspect. Another important thing is that cultural diversity. Since people are coming from different cultural background at the workplace, are you going to respect and treat each culture similarly or not, right. So, that is one issue that is looked into. And if you are going to have more ethnic and racial minorities people or women in the workforce, so they belong to different things. So, you need to treat them equally, because discrimination is still an important issue in most of the organizations, where they are not being treated equally, right. You know that in certain cases women are paid less compared to men. Okay. So, this kind of discrimination also happens. Okay. Then this is going to create challenge for management and as well as HRD professionals as well, right. So, what management can do or the HRD professional can do, that they can go for some kind of education and development program to make them aware about the differences in the value systems, culture, and how it could be treated as an strength, okay. Especially when we are talking about cultural diversity, right. Through educational programs, bringing about a change in the mindset of the people, okay. Whether we are treating as a problem or opportunity. For example, if the people from two cultures are working together. So, instead of not talking to each other or not interacting, you can try to understand their culture and he will try to understand your culture. Probably that would create a better opportunity for learning for each other, right. So, you need to change the mindsets, okay. That is very important. Okay. Then another important factor is related to the heterogeneity in race, ethnicity and nationalities. Okay. So, you try to build a very cohesive team which may compose of people from different backgrounds or diverse backgrounds. Okay. But if there is a racist, say prejudices or certain stereotypes that you have developed, probably will not be able to develop a cohesive group or team. Then you need to create a culture in the organization where you respect differences in the values, okay, and make sure that everybody's culture is being included as a part of the system. And finally, we have HR systems. So, you need to create HR systems in your training and development, performance management, promotion, other training and development activities, career development, that you are not going to discriminate people based on these diversity factors, right. So, the idea here is that the role of HR managers is to ensure that these things are taken care at the organizational level, so that you are able to realize the strength of diversity. Moving further about talking about cultural diversity, there has been a lot of studies, okay, and then Hofstede actually talked about 5 different kind of dimensions related to cultural diversities, like individualism and collectivism. It is a part of the culture. You know that developed countries you have more individualistic culture compared to developing countries, where you will find even India you have a more collectivist culture, right, where you try to be in groups, talk to each other, try to develop relationship, formal, informal, both, which does not happen in an individualistic culture. Then power distance. In India, we try to maintain power distance, because we are living in a hierarchical society, right, and the same applies to the organizations also. Okay. Then uncertainty avoidance. Okay. How you feel threatened by uncertain and ambiguous situations. Okay. So, Indians feels more uncertainty when you are if you look at and try to measure this particular dimensions on Indians, you will find that yes, okay, they are high on this particular dimension. So, low on power distance, they are collectivist in culture, right. They are more concerned about the quality of life, not the quantity of life, though we are moving from what you call quality to quantity, right. And then you most of the Indian have more long term orientation. Okay. So, they go for saving and all kind of things compared to developed countries, where they have more a culture of spending. The consumerism is an attitude, and which is also taking toll in the Indian context now. So, there are a lot of changes that is happening in these diversity dimensions of Hofstede today, if you look at the Indian cultural context. Now, if another important issue is the sexual orientation diversity. Okay, this data is not about Indians, it is a survey which was done about workplace diversity inclusion. So, if a small portion of Indian workforce belongs to this category, lesbian, gay, or bisexual, I tried to find out data, but I could not find the exact data. What is the percentage of a number of people? Some people say that it is to the tune of 5 to 6%, but that is not authentic to say. And in many cases, you will find that this sexual orientation are being disclosed, because this is going to create a complex situation, and then organization is going to be affected by this. Okay. And this is one survey which was done to see, and this shows that the percentage of people from different categories of people that is there, okay, which is there. It is related to India, but this data is very old, that is related to 2012. Out of the total, at least this is the status of different categories of people, especially related to India. This was published in Mingle, this is a journal, Mingle Out, number of in India, out number in India, LGT workforce, and these kind of things. Moving further, if you look at the sexual orientation in India, you know that traditionally also it has been there. Okay. We have accepted different forms and accommodated various forms of eroticism that you can find in culture, like it is documented in writings, arts and architectures, right. And you could find references of homosexuality and transgender identity in Vedic text also, even in Kama Sutra and Mahabharata, okay, even Bhagavad Purana also. You will find these kind of orientations. Then after the colonial influence, you know that British Viceroy of India, Lord Macaulay, and he developed a system, a different kind of systems. Okay. But still certain criminal times and castes act in the same period and were marginalized. There were transgender individuals, dancing males forms from the social and cultural scenes, right. So, the male used to be the dancers. In post colonial India, you know that there was suppression of homosexuality, and there is a total invisibility of this community in public life. Later on, you will find that there has been a movement in the middle class in reclaiming their heritage and identity. The informal groups, parties, networks, okay, which started gathering in different cities, and the first South Asian LGBT organization, Trikon, was started in California in 1986. Moving further, if you look at the latest development that is happening, these are some of the historical events, the chronicles that you can find out. Like first ever gay magazine was established in Bombay, okay, launched in 1990. Then there was a media galore propelled by the launch of brings homosexuality into the public life in the mainstream discourse. After a decade, within a decade, there were 3 Bollywood mainstream films had transgender as a protagonist, some bad, some good and some evil. Then there was a film Fire by Deepa Mehta, depicting a relationship between the women. Then the first gay organization, the Humsafar Trust, set up by the Ashok Rao Kavi, okay, 94. Then there was a Jan Stri Sangam, organized the first national gathering of women who love women in Bombay. Okay. Then there was the first ever Pride Walk in India, Rainbow Pride in Calcutta, and that is how things have been moving up. And if you look at the latest developments, okay, there are a lot of pride marches that is happening on a regular basis in Delhi, Calcutta, Bangalore, Bhubaneswar, all cities. Bollywood embraces LGBT agenda, the films like Dostana, My Brother Nikhil, first mainstream Indian TV soap opera like Maryada, Lekin Ab Kab Tak, and there have been lot of initiatives since then, like Azad Bazaar, Queerling, Solaris Pictures, all kind of things are coming up. Okay. So, now more or less you will find that this kind of diverse social orientation have been accepted, and even they are being employed in the organizations, like West Bengal government has applied a police officer, a transgender as a police officer. Recently, I came to news that KIT University has applied a transgender as an employee in the organization. So, these kind of initiatives have been taken by the organization related to sexual orientation. Okay. Now, if you look at some of the organizations, Indian organizations, and how they are dealing with this kind of sexual orientation, like IBM India, they have introduced the reverse mentoring project in Employees Alliance for Gay, Lesbian, Bisexual and Transgenders. This is known as EAGLE, okay, and that actually remain committed to the inclusion of irrespective of the sexual orientation. Then Infosys also has this kind of group, which is known as IGLO. Infosys Gay, Lesbians and You, an employee resource group for LGBT community in the company to create a safe and respectful work environment for the employees. And it also conducts awareness program and exclusive events to create and aware and foster inclusion. Similarly, you will find that there is a guide that have been created by many companies like Google, IBM, Goldman Sachs. Okay. And the data shows that it could be in the range of 5 to 10% of the total workforce. Okay. And 80% of them reported hearing homophobic comments, jokes, anti-gay rhetoric at the workplace. It means they are being discriminated at the workplace. Now, if you look at attitude towards diversity, there are 2 major things that has come up, like ethnocentrism, okay, that one's own group or subculture is inherently superior to other group or culture, like Britishers in the earlier period that their race is superior or their race is superior to any race in the world. So, this kind of attitude that ethno relativism is that group or subculture inherently equal, it means that they are at the same level. So, these are the 2 different approaches towards diversity that have been used, and pluralism is that you are going to accommodate all kind of cultures in your organization. So, it is always better. You do not think that you are equal to others or you are superior to others, but you are going to accommodate everyone in the organization. Okay. And you know that there have been sex based discriminations and harassment. Okay. Women are still still underrepresented in the top roles. The data from 2006 says that 23,000 formal sex based discrimination charges have been filed. Similarly, if you look at harassment cases, women filed 86% all harassment charges in 2006. Do you think men are experiencing sexual harassment, but not reporting? There could be a possibility, but it is, since it is not being reported, we cannot say anything about it. Okay. Then the Government of India has come out with a Sexual Harassment Act, and to deal with these kind of cases, and it is for both men and women, but hardly any men make any kind of complaints. Most of the complaints are 99.9% complaints coming from the female. Okay. So, that is how they are being discriminated. Okay. Thank you very much.